Mauser is a German arms manufacturer of a line of bolt-action rifles and semi-automatic pistols since the 1870s. Mauser designs were built for the German armed forces. Since the late 19th and early 20th centuries, military Mauser designs were also exported and licensed to a number of countries, as well as being a popular civilian firearm. Mauser continued to make sporting and hunting rifles in the late 20th century. In 1995 the company became a subsidiary of Rheinmetall called Mauser Werke Oberndorf Waffensystem GmbH, before being acquired by Lukenamp Ortmeier Group in 2000. A division of the original company, Mauser Jagdwaffen GmbH, was split off and, in 2000, sold to Lukenamp Ortmeier Group. Mauser Jagdwaffen continues making bolt-action rifles as a subsidiary of Sig Sauer. The Mauser name has historically also been licensed by other companies on intermittent occasions. History. Early years. Peter Paul Mauser, often referred to as Paul Mauser, was born on the 27th of June 1838, in Oberndorf am Neckar, Württemberg. His brother Wilhelm was 4 years older. The father, Franz Andreas Mauser, was a gunsmith at the Württemberg Royal Armoury. The factory was built in an Augustinian cloister, a stout building ideal for arms production. Another son, Franz Mauser, traveled to America in 1853 with his sister and worked at E. Remington and Amp Sons. Peter Paul was conscripted in 1859 as an artilleryman at the Ludwigsburg Arsenal, where he worked as a gunsmith. Based on the Dreyse needle gun, he developed a rifle with a turned-bolt mechanism that cocked the gun as it was manipulated by the user. The rifle initially used a firing needle. A later version used a firing pin and a rear ignition cartridge. The rifle was shown to the Austrian War Ministry by Samuel Norris of E. Remington and Amp Sons. Norris believed the design could be adapted to convert chassepot needle guns to fire metallic cartridges. Shortly thereafter, a partnership was formed in Oberndorf between Norris and the Mauser brothers. The partners went to Liege in 1867, but when the French government showed no interest in a chassepot conversion, the partnership was dissolved. Paul Mauser returned to Oberndorf in December 1869, and Wilhelm arrived in April 1870. Peter Paul and Wilhelm Mauser continued development of the new rifle in Paul's father-in-law's home. The Mauser rifle was accepted by the Prussian government on the 2nd of December 1871, and was accepted for service until the 14th of February 1872. After a requested design change to the safety lock, the Mauser brothers received an order for 3,000 rifle sights, but actual production of the rifle was given to government arsenals and large firms. The sights were produced at the Xaver George House starting the 1st of May 1872. After an order for 100,000 rifle sights was received from the Bavarian Rifle Factory at Hamburg, the Mauser brothers began negotiations to purchase the Württemberg Royal Armoury. A delay in the purchase forced them to buy real estate overlooking the Neckar River Valley, where the upper works was built that same year. A house in Oberndorf was also rented to fulfill the Bavarian order. Acquisition of the Königlich Württembergische Gewehrfabrik. The Königlich Württembergische Gewehrfabrik was acquired on May 23, 1874, after an agreement between the Württemberg government and the Mausers to produce 100,000 Model 71 rifles. The partnership of Mauser Brothers and Company was formed between the Württemberg Vereinsbank of Stuttgart and Paul and Wilhelm Mauser on February 5, 1874. By the 23rd of May 1874, the Mauser partnership had 3 factories in Oberndorf. Wilhelm Mauser suffered from health problems throughout his life, which were aggravated by his frequent business travels. A combination of these led to his death on the 13th of January 1882. The partnership became a stock company with the name of Waffenfabrik Mauser on 1 April 1884. The shares held by the Württemberg Vereinsbank and Paul Mauser were sold to Ludwig Loh and Amp Company on 28 December 1887, and Paul Mauser stayed as the technical leader. Ludwig Loh and Amp Company was 50% owner of Fabrique Nationale d'Armes de Guerre, a company formed in 1889 to manufacture Mauser rifles for the Belgian government. Deutsche Waffen- und Munitionsfabriken AG was formed on 7 November 1896 as a merger of Ludwig Loh and Amp Company AG, Deutsche Metallpatronenfabrik AG, Rheinisch-Westfälischen Powder Company, and Rottweil Hamburg Powder Company. Mauser AG was formed on 23 April 1897. After World War II, DWM was renamed Industry Worker Karlsruhe AG. In 1940, the Mauser Company was invited to take part in a competition to re-equip the German army with a semi-automatic rifle, the Gewehr 41. A number of impractical requirements were specified, including that the design should not use holes drilled into the barrel to take off gas for the operating mechanism, thereby requiring mechanisms that proved unreliable. Two designs were submitted, and the Mauser version, the G41, failed miserably in testing. It was cancelled after a short production run. The resulting design did not see real success before it was switched to a simply gas-operated system in the Gewehr 43. During World War II, the Mauser factory in Oberndorf was strategically bombed by the Allies, resulting in the deaths of 26 workers and the destruction of the company's power plant. French forces entered Oberndorf on 20 April 1945 when the town's mayor and planning committee surrendered without any resistance. No blood was shed there on the day. After the war in Europe, the factory was briefly put back in order to produce weapons for the now under-equipped and exhausted French military. The plant was dismantled by the occupying forces for the purpose of war reparations. Most factory buildings were demolished and the records destroyed on orders of the local French army commander. For a number of years, Mauser worker manufactured precision measurement instruments and tools, such as micrometers. Edmund Heckler, Theodor Koch, and Alex Seidel, a former Mauser engineers, saved what they could and founded Heckler and Amp Koch, which has since become Germany's main small arms manufacturer. Mauser continued to make hunting and sporting rifles. In 1994, it became a subsidiary of Rheinmetall, a manufacturer of autocannons such as the Mauser BK-27 and other munitions until 2004, when it was merged into Rheinmetall Waffenmunition GmbH. In 1999, the civilian manufacture of hunting, defense, and sporting rifles were split off from Rheinmetall. Civilian market. Mausers were readily adapted as hunting rifles. In Africa, safari rifles were often made from Mausers. These rifles were often rechambered in larger rounds up to and including 50 caliber. The adaptations usually consisted of shortening the foregrip and barrel, rechambering to accommodate popular British rounds, and minor alterations to the action. In the late 19th century and early 20th century, companies that made alterations were generally Commonwealth-based. Several proprietary big game rounds were specifically for hunting large and dangerous game. Today, large and small bore Mauser-derived rifles are made all over the world for the civilian market and are popular with hunters. Surplus military Mausers, many in mint condition, have also entered the civilian market, to be purchased by collectors and gun owners. A considerable number of surplus carabiner 98 kilo seconds were available after World War II. and some were used by Schultz and Amp Larsen in Denmark as the basis for target rifles. Some of these are still in competitive use, although with the benefit of new barrels. The strong following enjoyed by surplus military Mausers is partly a testament to the reliability and quality of manufacture. Additionally, the widespread availability and comparative low cost of surplus military ammunition has served to continue the use by shooting enthusiasts. That being said, vintage surplus ammunition usually requires specialized cleaning regimens to prevent aggressive and rapid metal oxidation caused by corrosive salts contained in the priming compounds. Care must be taken to thoroughly and promptly clean and neutralize these salts after firing corrosive ammunition, lest the weapon suffer metal and mechanical damage. The first Western-made handguns introduced into South Asia were made by the Mauser Company, and the term has entered the lexicon in India and the surrounding regions to mean any heavy pistol. Manufacturers John Rigby and Amp Company developed 4 distinct rounds for its Mauser Safari big game rifles. Saska Zbroj manufactures various Mauser 98 variants, the most notable being the CZ 550 Safari Magnum, the 375H and Amp H Magnum, and the 458 Lot 6 Sauer makes the Mauser M98 rifle chambered in several medium and magnum chamberings, and the M98 Safari rifle chambered in 416 Rigby, 450 Dakota, 458 Lot and 500 Jeffrey. Zastava Arms manufactures several 98 Mauser variants, the best known of these being the LKM-70 and M85 series, in various popular calibers ranging from 22 to 252. 458 Winchester Magnum. A number of the LKM-70 slightly modified versions have been widely sold in other countries. Carl Gustaf Sweden National Armory took over the manufacturing of the M94, 96 and the famous target rifles CG63 and CG68. Husqvarna Vapen Fabrik made M94-96 variant M38, M38-96, and many other civilian variations. Model 46 in Carl, 6.5 x 55, 9.3 x 57 and 9.3 x 62. Model 640 without the thumb notch. They used FN action for later Model 640 and 140 series. The crossover Model 1640 improved Mauser is a cross between the M98 and M96. They also produced the 1900 actions. Fabrique Nationale de Herstal made a M98 series, the early production being small ring and later large ring of C and H design. The FN actions were also used by Sarco of Finland as the high-power rifles, by Browning on the early medallions, as Husqvarna small ring Model 146 and large ring late Model 640, and by Kodiak Arms, P. Connecticut. Many other arms manufacturers used the FN action.